was lucky enough to live in Argentina for a year, and during that time I found some fantastic kosher restaurants, takeaway places and supermarkets in Buenos Aires. It's a huge city and I can't quite cover everything, but hopefully this is a comprehensive tourist's guide to kosher food and you'll get just a flavour of what the city has to offer. I've also added some of my top tips, links and app suggestions, including Argentina's kosher food list, in the description box below. Let's start off with the best of the best. If you go to the Alvear Aqem hotel, you're in for a treat because they have 2 kosher restaurants, Glitter, which is the meat one, and Milk & Co, which is the dairy one. The Alvear Aqem hotel is definitely at the high end of kosher food in Buenos Aires, but if you're a tourist it's very reasonable and I would definitely recommend going there for the service, for the atmosphere, for the presentation. Everything is just wonderful and the food is delicious. Glitter has a lovely atmosphere and it serves the best kosher steak in the city in my opinion. It's just got so much flavour and it's really high quality. They also do chicken dishes, fish dishes, some lovely side dishes. The bread that they give you is so delicious and the desserts are great too. I really loved the little chocolate fondant that I shared with my friend here. My friend and I had a lovely experience at Milk & Co. It was a nice quiet corner of the hotel and the decor is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at this. So I had a salmon dish which I loved and my friend had a pasta dish. They also do pizza, sandwiches, salads, just nice light snacks as well as rich main courses. And then for dessert we had a mil hojas, which was absolutely delicious. As you can see by the other desserts in the cabinet, it was a really tough decision to make because everything looked so tempting. My next favourite kosher restaurant is El Paisano and it's in the neighbourhood of Belgrano. It's a lovely, cosy, family-owned steakhouse, which actually used to be a Chabad house before they converted it into a restaurant. I love this restaurant because the food is really good. It's all fresh, good quality, and they have a variety of cuts, so you can choose exactly what you want. I would definitely recommend going for the steak, but if not, then the hamburgers are a really good option, in particular the Emil hamburger. And they do milanesa, they do vegetarian dishes. They also have their own pastry chef who makes the most incredible desserts. I was lucky enough to sample quite a number of them during my year in Argentina. They do chocolate fondant, they do a variety of dessert pots, but my absolute favourite is the chocolate marquise. You can't miss that one. Next I want to talk about Luba, which is a dairy cafe in the neighbourhood of Recoleta, which you're almost definitely going to go to if you're a tourist because there's quite a bit to do and see around there. Luba is a really cute cafe to go to. It's in quite an upmarket area and the decor is certainly nicer than other kosher restaurants that we'll talk about later in the video. The menu is very extensive. You can go there for breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, afternoon tea. They do sharing platters and light meals. You can get salad, pasta. They recently introduced pizza to their menu. I really like their salmon dishes because they have very interesting flavour combinations. But the main attraction is their cabinet of cakes and desserts. Oh my goodness, they do the best cakes. They do some typical Argentinian recipes such as chocotorta, marquise and cheesecake. So go there, have a cup of tea, have a slice of cake, and you're just gonna love it. If you head over to the food court in the Abasto shopping centre, you'll find 3 kosher food options. The first and most notable is the kosher McDonald's, which is a huge novelty for tourists because it's the only kosher McDonald's outside of Israel. Your next option in the food court is La Empanaderia Kosher. It's a kosher empanada and pizza place for takeout right next to the kosher McDonald's. So if you and your buddies can't decide where to eat, you can all get different things and sit down together in the food court, which is really nice. La Empanaderia Kosher is a chain, so there are a few other ones dotted around the city. However, the one in Abasto has extra options such as salads and dessert empanadas, which I love. There are chocolate ones and apple ones, and they're to die for. They're my favourites. The cool thing about this place is that they have both dairy and meat options, and you might be thinking, how is that possible? Is it really kosher? Yes, it is. The kitchen is just separate. The last place in the food court I want to tell you about is Fredo. It's an ice cream shop that's part of a larger chain. You'll find them all over the city and even as far north as the border of Iguazu, which is really cool. They do some absolutely divine flavours. I would recommend all of the dulce de leche ones. They're so good. And the thing is that Not all of the flavors are kosher, so you have to ask for the kosher list. They'll present you with a piece of paper. It will tell you which sorbets and which dairy ice creams you can have. Obviously, order in a cup, not a cone. But you don't have to worry because all of the ice creams have their own scoop in the container, so there's not going to be any cross-contamination. Now we're moving on to the neighborhood of Once, which is the heart of Jewish life in Buenos Aires. So if you ask any Argentinian Jew for recommendations, they'll probably send you straight to the restaurant Algalope. It's a famous kosher steakhouse, and if you do go, you should try the bife de chorizo because that is their speciality. However, it really wasn't my favourite restaurant. I did go a few times and I tried a few different dishes, but the side dishes were quite bland and oily. The meat was okay. The service is not good at all. The staff are really rude. So I'm going to be a bit controversial and say that actually my favourite restaurant in Once for meat is Aqem, which is more of an Israeli Middle Eastern style place. You can get your shawarma or meat or milanesa in a sandwich and pizza and laffa. You can get bigger main course meals, and I would recommend chicken rather than steak there. You can go to other places like El Paisano for good steak. But what I really recommend is the big sharing platters for 2 people. I like the Israeli one. You get a bit of everything. You get some salad, milanesa, potatoes, chicken wings, and it's all really tasty, and it's nice to be able to try a bit of everything. If you want a quicker meal or a takeout, there are a few meaty options in Once. You can go to La Empanaderia Kosher, like we already talked about. You can go to Shafo, which does more Sephardi style food like kibbeh, lahmacun, bollos. And you can also go to a newer place called Pita Loca. They do everything you want in a pizza. You want falafel, they got it. You want shawarma, they got it. And chips, obviously. So that's a nice option. If you're looking for Asian food, there are a few small takeout sushi places in Once. The most famous one is Sushiko. That's the one that all my friends really enjoy going to. Apparently it's just the best sushi. If you'd prefer a sit-down meal, you can go to Pichiklin, which does Japanese food. They have a huge sushi menu. They do these incredible sushi boats that are just full of sushi. They're honestly amazing and the presentation is beautiful. They do Argentinian takes on Japanese food as well, so they'll do fish empanadas and they do salmon milanesa. As you can tell, I'm a really big fan of salmon, so I used to eat that all the time and I loved it. Let's move on to the dairy places in Once. As I said before, pizza is not an Argentinian specialty. You should really try some of the local dishes instead. But on the off chance that you do want pizza, you can go to Venezia or Sultani. I tried both of them and I wasn't really impressed. I just don't think that they're particularly nice restaurants to go to. They're a bit overpriced and the pizza at Venezia was not good. The pasta at Sultani was, look at this. So instead I would recommend checking out Lua Express, which is a smaller version of the one in Recoleta. They do have some of the same items on the menu, but it is a more limited menu and it's just a nice place to go and relax, have a cup of tea, have some cake, a light snack, and take a break from the busy city. It's in Bet Hana, which is a Jewish women's community centre, and it's in the middle of the action, but it's just a nice quiet spot. Another favourite spot of mine is called My Bagel. I would really recommend this if you're a tourist with a long day of sightseeing ahead, because you can come here and pick up a quick packed lunch for the day. You can customise a variety of bagels and salads with whichever toppings and fillings you want. There's so much to choose from and it's all very fresh. They make it there in front of you and then you can just be on your way. So the newest place that was opened whilst I was living in Argentina last year was O Brothers. It's a really funky cafe. The decor is by far the nicest out of all of the places in Once. And you can go there to work. There's a sort of co-working area. There's a nice sofa where you can go and relax. And it just has a really nice buzzing vibe. They have a similar service to My Bagel where you can customise your own bagels with different fillings, but they have lots of amazing desserts and pastries there too, and hot and cold drinks. I fell in love with the donuts. I had a dulce de leche donut and it was probably the best that I'd ever had. Out of all of the kosher dairy places in Once that I've tried, this would definitely be my top pick for you. I think you'll really enjoy going there. Your kosher steakhouse option in Palermo is Pasaje al Lasso, which is part of the Lasso Chabad house. They brought out my steak on a personal grill. It was sizzling, it was hot, it was delicious. I would really recommend it. But they are only open in the summer. They only have outdoor seating. So depending on what time of year you're in Buenos Aires, it may or may not be open. Literally just around the corner, you'll find Sprinkles, which is a kosher dairy cafe. It's not a place to go for a meal. They do salads and savory waffles and things, but it's more to go for a drink and some cake. Their cakes and desserts are amazing. I could not recommend them highly enough. They've got lemon pie, they've got maquis, they've got chocotorta, they've got waffles and giant alfajores and other desserts, and you will love it if you've got a sweet tooth. To conclude this video, I want to tell you about a really special opportunity that I discovered whilst living in Buenos Aires. It's called Noches Kosher. And basically, for 2 consecutive nights a month, a regular restaurant or bar in Palermo is taken over, completely cleaned out and koshered, and they serve supervised kosher food. I was lucky enough to try out 2 different Noches Kosher whilst I was living there, and I even met the guy who supervises it all. The food is Middle Eastern, Israeli style. They do pita with different fillings, and it's just a really refreshing way to experience Jewish culture and Jewish life in Buenos Aires. Because yes, you do have other kosher options. I've just listed so many in this video, but when you have a pop-up food experience like this, it just makes everything so much more special and intimate, and it's a really cool thing to do as a tourist. So I would recommend following Noches Kosher online so you can find out when the next ones are going to be and where they're going to be, and it will just be a unique experience to have whilst you're in Buenos Aires. That's it from me. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Obviously, I'm not an expert, but I did live in Buenos Aires for a year, so I feel like I know the kosher food scene pretty well. Feel free to send this video to anyone you know who's going to Buenos Aires and needs some advice about kosher food options over there. I've listed all of the places I mentioned in the description box. And finally, I just wanted to say I loved Buenos Aires. It's a fantastic place to be. The Jewish community is so vibrant and there's so much to discover there.